Hello and welcome to my channel. Today is a very special video as I have my dear friend Brenda Hotchkiss here to talk about British teas and what you might want to wear to one. Okay, so Brenda, you are truly British, so when did you come to America?
I came in 1952 when I was 19 years old.
Wow, and how did you happen to come to America?
I came because I was engaged to my fiance, who is American and in the American Air Force, and I met him while he was stationed over in England at Mildenhall in Cambridgeshire.
Oh, okay.
And that was actually when he first came, their squadron went to an English base right near my home because there was no room for them over at Mildenhall. The other squadron hadn't left, so they were there and they put a dance on for the local girls, and I went and I met him there.
Aw, and you guys fell in love.
Yes.
And when did you come to America?
Well, I came in 1952, but that was after he had come back and forth. They would come every 6 months and be based over there. And we did that for 3 years.
Wow.
And so
That's a long dating relationship.
Well, I was 16 when I met him. And so I had to wait until I was old enough to come.
Yeah.
And also my father was very, very ill. And so I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And so that's when I came, 19 years old. And I came across on the Queen Elizabeth, and my husband drove from California and met me there. And then we went to Reading, Pennsylvania, where my sister lived, who married American, and we were married there.
Oh, that's so exciting. And then you became an American while you were in Pennsylvania?
No, I didn't. I didn't become an American until you had to be at that time, you had to be here 5 years before you could become. And so I was expecting my daughter when I used to go to high school in the evenings and studied to become American. And so 5 years after I arrived here, I took my citizenship test and became an American.
Oh, that's awesome. And you lived in Pennsylvania until you came to Washington?
No, I lived, we were just married in Pennsylvania, and then after the ceremony the next day, we left and drove all the way to California, and that was where my husband was from, and he was based there. And he had 3 months left of his 4-year what he'd signed up for. And in the January we left and came to Washington, and because there was jobs at Boeing's, and so that's why we came up here.
And he did work at Boeing.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Many years.
Wonderful. So Brenda, could you give us a little history of the teas? Do you call it tea service or tea time, or what?
Tea time.
Tea time. Okay.
Yes.
History of tea time.
Yes, I'd be glad to. Well, what happened was apparently a lady named Anna Marie Russell, who became the Duchess of Bedford, the 7th Duchess of Bedford. At that time, they used to only have 2 meals a day. They'd have breakfast, maybe the working class would have it early in the morning, but some of the wealthier people would not rise until maybe 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and then they would have breakfast, and then they would have an evening meal. And so Anna, she used to get kind of, she complained that she had a sinking feeling late in the afternoon. So what happened was she started having tea and a light snack in the afternoon. And eventually she invited some of her friends to come, and they enjoyed it. And this is how it started, having tea in the afternoon with little sandwiches and cakes and a cup of tea.
Isn't that funny that one woman could decide something like that, and now all these years later, people across the continent are doing it as well.
Well, that was like the Earl of Sandwich, and he invented the sandwich because he didn't want to leave the card table.
Oh, is that right? Yes. And I love sandwiches. Oh, that's very cool. So I know that you're very active in the Daughters of the British Empire.
Yes.
And I love going to the teas every year that you ladies put on. But I have to ask, is it proper to raise your little pinky when you're sipping?
No, that's a fantasy.
Oh.
Actually, I think how that happened was a poor class of people made fun of the upper class.
Oh,
and they
hoity-toity.
And they made this up, like when they hold their tea, they hold their pinky up, and I truly believe that's where it came from.
That's funny. So I've heard before of something called high tea. How is that different than regular tea?
That's a far bigger meal, heavier meal.
Oh, okay.
It's more satisfying. It's not just tea where you take a break and have some pretty little sandwiches and things and cookies or cakes. It's you have ham. Now, in the summer, you would have cold ham and salads and things such as that, and maybe even have a cold soup or a soup to start with. Mm-hmm. And so that's more of your high tea. Yes.
It's more involved, more courses.
Yes, far more courses.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What time of the day is tea served most often?
Well, yes, tea's always around 3 o'clock in there, maybe even up to 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because traditionally they ate dinner later,
yes,
so
yes.
You weren't encroaching.
Well, actually, no. The majority of the people in England, so long as they're able to get home in noontime, that's when they have their main meal.
Oh, okay.
Is at noontime.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then tea in the afternoon.
And tea in the afternoon.
Very good.
So they can have it all the way up to 5 o'clock, when they come home from work.
Mm-hmm. And then dinner would be later.
Dinner. Well, no, dinner. There's breakfast. There's the dinner, the main course, at between 12 and 1.
Oh, I see.
And then when they come home from work, or they have a tea, and it would be more of a high tea then.
Okay.
Now, what we're talking about, where they have the little sandwiches and cakes, that is when, now, like my mother used to invite my brother's mother-in-law and maybe a couple of other friends to come round about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and she would have sandwiches and cakes. Yeah. And it's more for a ladies' time.
That's
relaxing.
A good question. I was going to ask you, do men do tea?
No. I mean, they do tea when they come home from work, but that's a main meal tea.
Okay. To go out to a tea is generally
only if it's like a garden party or something like that, for some special occasion.
Because I know at the Daughters of the British Empire, I remember being surprised to see some men there, and I wondered if it was just because they were with their wives who were serving.
Probably so. They were dragged there. No, a lot of them enjoy it.
Yeah.
I know my grandson came last year to the tea. Yes.
Aww, I didn't meet him.
Actually, there is several different types of teas.
Okay.
There's your wealthier class that does have the tea in the afternoons, and then there's also like the middle class, like my mother, that would invite a few friends over, and then the next week their friend would invite them back. And so there's much fancier teas, and then there's a much casual teas. So
I can understand that. Are there certain tea brands or flavors that are traditionally served at tea time?
a lot of black tea, but I didn't, realize there was that many teas until I actually came over here to America.
That's funny.
Yes, because most, there's several brands that, I remember my mother always used to use what they call PG tips.
PG
tips. It's a good, very good black tea.
Okay. I haven't heard of that.
Then there's Taifu, there's a number of different ones. I can't think of them now, but there's the ones from India were very, very popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me some ways that tea time seemed different in England as opposed to here in America?
Well, like I said, there's so teas can be very, very casual.
Mm-hmm.
But over here, most of the time, people, when they have teas here, they enjoy dressing up.
Oh.
And that's the difference. My mother and her friends would, probably have a dress on normally around the house. Very few of them, in my time.
Right.
They didn't wear pants. They always wore dresses. Mm-hmm. And they also wore an apron or pinny, as we called it, over the clothes. So when they were ready to, getting ready to go to tea over to my mother's house, they would just take their pinny off, hang it up, go and wash their faces, do their hair, and they're in the dress ready to go. So that would be the casual one.
Okay.
And then, of course, the upper class would dress, much more elegantly to go to someone's house for tea.
I've heard a lot of people from this area have gone to Victoria, to the gardens, and have done tea there.
Yes.
And I assume that would be a more formal
That
setting.
would be, yes, very, very informal. I mean, very formal.
Formal, yeah.
Yes.
Because I've also heard about garden teas.
Uh-huh.
And so I assume that would be a more casual.
Well, it depends. There again, it depends on if, if you want it to be fancy, it could be very. Usually, that's when they always wear hats when they go to a garden party.
Oh, is that right?
At a if someone put on a fundraiser at a mansion type house, and you'd be expected to wear a pretty dress and hat.
Oh, so you don't have to wear a hat to go to tea.
No.
But the little fascinators are so cute.
Yes.
Is that something they still do in England too, or?
No. Mostly, it, like I said, it depends on what they're doing it for. If it's for, fundraiser, some people would wear hats, some people wouldn't. But just it's up to the individual.
Yeah, and maybe how formal
yes,
the occasion is.
Yes, definitely.
Well,
definitely.
I just think they're cute and they're fun. But
I
I don't own any.
Because fascinators weren't even around when I was in England.
Oh, really?
This is a the last 10 years, I would say, 10 or 12 years, that the fascinators, and I think they started out mainly either at Ascot, like at the horse racing,
the polo
and maybe for weddings. They started out, the millineries started designing them, and that's how they've gotten so popular rather than the big hats, because sometimes the big hats get in the way.
Yes, and they mess up your hair.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I'm just not a hat person, but I just love the little fascinators. They are so cute. I'm going to be getting one. I think we've discussed that. I want to get a fascinator.
Yeah. Oh, you don't use them very often, but
Yeah.
for special occasions, they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we don't have any food out today, but do you have some favorite recipes that you enjoy either making and bringing or eating when you're at a tea?
Well, I'm famous for my Bakewell Tarts.
Oh.
And so whenever the DBE has a tea, that's what I cook. And it's a pastry that, well, you make a pastry base and you put jam in the pastry base. Then you make a cake mixture and it's flavored with almonds and almond essence. And you have to have pure almond essence. Don't take don't use the fake.
Oh.
And so the cake has almond essence in it. And so then you bake that. And then when they're cool, you make an icing of just powdered sugar and milk, but you also there again put almond essence in the frosting, and then you put a cherry on top.
Oh,
so
they're probably pretty as well as delicious.
They're pretty as well as delicious, yes.
And if you're willing, we'll put that recipe in the description down below so that you can try that out for your next tea.
I've also bought one for shortbread.
Oh.
And so you can add that to it if you would like, which is always very, very popular. And this one comes from Scotland, from my husband's great-grandfather.
Oh, it's a family recipe.
Yes.
Oh, that's really special. So what would a lady wear to a tea?
Well, it depends on what kind of tea you're going to.
Sure.
If you're going to a very formal tea, you would have on a very pretty dress and a very pretty hat. To a less formal one, you can wear just a simple dress, and you can wear a hat or a fascinator if you would like to.
Okay.
And nowadays it's more formal than it used to be, because they're like I said, in my mother's era, they had just teas at home.
Sure.
And for friends, and it was very casual then. But nowadays, teas are made more formal.
It kind of reminded me what you said with your mother's time, of when we just have a friend over for coffee.
Yes, exactly.
And we just put out coffee, and we don't really get dressed up or anything. But, when I was researching kind of the fashion behind tea time, the words that kept coming out were classic, comfortable, and feminine.
Yes.
I didn't see anything about pants, although we are such a pants, society, but nothing about wearing pants, but that it was important to be comfortable, especially if you were going to be outdoors.
Yes.
You don't want the spiky heels or anything.
Right.
That's just not going to work for you.
Definitely not.
I love the pictures that I found of the florals and the billowy kind of, like springtime kind of fabrics that just are so pretty. Right. And lots of ruffles and kind of the feminine details,
Especially at a garden party.
Okay.
Where tea is going to be served. And yes. And some of them still have the parasols.
Oh, really?
And carry those, yes. If it's if it's a sunny day.
Yeah. So if I would go, because I think we're going to be going to Victoria for our anniversary later this summer, and that's one thing I was really looking forward to, is trying to do the tea. So is it something that I should be wearing heels to, or?
Well, you're going to be inside.
Okay.
Because it's at the, I'm trying to think of the hotel up there.
I know it. I'm drawing a blank too, but it's famous for having their teas near the Bouchard Gardens, I think.
And yes, so if you went there, you could wear heels if you wanted to, and a dress and a hat.
Because it's formal.
Yes.
Yes,
quite formal.
Maybe I'll wear my new fascinator.
There you go. That would look nice.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Oh, and I know that for anybody that's local and is able to go, the next DBET is being held in Lacey on...
it's on College Street. It's at the St. Mark's Lutheran Church, and it will be April the 20th a Saturday at 2 o'clock, 2 until 4. And it will be a wonderful, you'll have a wonderful time.
Yes,
and,
it's always fun.
If you'd like to call me at 360-491-1369, I'll be glad to supply tickets for you. Or if not, you can buy them at the door. Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yep, I'll be there, and I know a lot of our other friends will be coming as well. So I hope that you will post down in the chat about a tea that you've been to, or if you have any questions about tea or going to a tea, and I will check with Brenda and get back with you on the answer. But I would love to hear your experience with a tea. How formal was it? Did you wear a hat or a fascinator? And let me know. So for now, we're going to sign off, and I will see you again next week with a new video. You have a great day.
Bye.